Hey guys, how you doing? This is Chuck from Maverick's Arcade, and as the title suggested, we're doing a Blender video today. I know this is an arcade channel, and you guys generally come here for arcade information and so forth. The reason why I'm doing a Blender video here is because just like with the arcade, I was searching on the YouTube and the web to find a way to do what I was trying to accomplish, and I wasn't getting an answer. So I found the answer by playing around with it, and I figured it would be a good video to make. Now, I'm not an expert in Blender. I am not even that great at Blender. However, I wanted to make this video to help other people that need the same issue solved as I did. So I went ahead and put it on this channel. Plus, I know some of you guys are into some other geeky things as well, and you might be into the idea of playing with some graphics and maybe a little intimidated to give it a shot, but Blender is fun to play with, and I definitely recommend if you're gonna check in, if you're interested at all in 3D graphics and anything, Blender is a good place to start. It's completely free, and that's freaking awesome. So the videos that I did find online were how to make an object and throw a video on top of it. The problem I had with those videos is, yes, you have a monitor that you drew in 3D, you threw a screen on it, you put a video on it, and it plays fine. The problem is it's not emitting light. So if you have another light source like a lamp near it, and it's casting light onto the screen, it affects the screen in a way that's not natural. Plus, if you want to do a scene where that screen is casting light onto other objects, it doesn't work correctly. It's not throwing the light in a way that it should. And even more so if you wanted to do, say, a very darkly lit scene where, like, for example, a bunch of kids are sitting in the living room watching TV at night with only the TV playing, and you have a little bit of fog in the air. You want that light to come out of the TV, to be obviously coming from that TV and bouncing off other objects to create the realistic look. Again, I could not find a video on how to do this, so I messed around with a couple of different settings and I figured out a way to do it, and a very easy way to create such a screen. So I'm going to show you that here. Another thing that is annoying about the other websites on how to set up a screen is they create the plane first. And the problem is if the aspect ratio is off on your movie to what you sized out, then it may look funny. So I found a very easy way for me to do this. And the other reason why this video, it does apply to this channel, is because this need to figure out how to get this to work is part and kind of a teaser of how the new graphics on this channel are going to be. So let's switch over to Blender here and we'll start to cover what we're doing. So this is the default thing on Blender, the default screen. So we're just going to take this little cube and we're going to hit X and we're going to delete it. And we're going to make sure we're in cycles render. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that a built-in add-on has been enabled. So we go to File, and we choose User Preferences. Now, this add-on is built in. However, it's disabled by default. So if you search for the word plane, make sure to the one that says Import Images as Planes. Make sure that's checked. Again, I already enabled mine. That's the reason why mine's checked. And then you would hit Save User Settings. And then you would be good to go and ready to begin what we're doing here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go import the movie. Now what I have is I did File, Import, and down here on the bottom you see Images Planes. So we'll select that. And we're going to go to a shortcut to where I recorded a quick clip. You can see my other channels on here. But Maverick's Arcade. And we have this quick record of the opening sequence. And of course this is a video I'm recording now. So we open up that sequence, and as you can see, we have a little plane on here, and we have quick recording, the name of the file over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit S to scale, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to bring it up, and then I'm going to hit Shift F to control my camera and bring the view around this way, so we're in front of the object. I'm going to click my mouse, and then I'm going to do Control Alt 0 on the keypad to move my camera to this position. And then, yes, that's good. So throughout this video, as I do a render, I'm going to stop the video and then just jump into the part where the render is finished. So if you see a blip, That's why I'm going to do that now. So as you can see, this render, it is just a black screen. Now the reason for that is that the animation of my intros always starts with a black screen. So we need to see where my animations actually begin. And the easiest way to do this is we're going to go to this little box here and say node editor. And this is the node. As you see, I have quick record selected, and this is the node settings for that. You can see that that movie file has 600 frames. So we're going to jump down here on the bottom bar. You can either click on this part or just type it here on which frame we're at. We're going to go to 300. And then what you'll see is in the material view, this little sphere. Where am I at? Where's my sample? Preview. So you see, there's the preview of where it is at that frame. And again, when we were at frame 1 down here, you can see it was a black screen. But at the point of around 300, the title would be a fully plain. So now when we render that view, you can see that it rendered correctly. It's showing up on the screen. However, it's kind of dull. It's obviously not emitting any light. And it's just kind of bland. So what we're going to then do is we're now going to hit escape, and we're going to leave the node view for now. The other, we're going to go back to 3D view. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the world, and I'm going to click use nodes, and we're going to set the ambient light for the world to nothing. There is also a built-in lamp in the scene. We're going to disable that lamp. Now, if this was a light emitting TV, it should show the screen contents, even with all the other lights turned off. So let's render that real quick. And this actually, I don't need to shut the recording off because it's definitely very fast. So you can see no lights, nothing going on. Very, very bland. So what we're going to do to make this object actually emit light, and again, it took me a little while to play with it and figure it out. But what we're doing is we're going to the node editor. We're going to select this quick record. And then what we're going to do is this hot mess here is what the plugin or the add-on actually set up for us. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this image texture. We're going to keep that. But we're going to get rid of the diffuse. So I select it and I hit X. I select this and I hit X. And I select the mix shader and I hit X. We're going to then do Shift A. And we're going to add a shader. And we're going to put in an emission shader. I'm going to drop that right there. For the color, we're going to connect that in. And for the surface output, we're going to connect it there. It's got a default strength of 1. We're now going to render this image. And as you can see, there's definitely light coming out of the darkness here, which is what we want. I'm now going to reposition the camera. So I'm going to set this back to 3D view. I'm going to select over here. I'm going to do Shift F to do a free fly of the camera. I'm going to bring the camera back a little bit to about this position. I'm going to hit the button, and then I'm going to do Control-Alt-0 to readjust my camera angle to this position. We're going to then render here. And as you can see, this is definitely looking like a lit up screen here. Problem is we can't really tell because there's no atmosphere, so there's no fog of any kind, and there's nothing that the light's bouncing off of. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to put a floor in here. And for this, I'm going to go to Control-Alt-Q to get this 4-up view. Do Shift-A and bring in a new plane. And then I'm going to scale it up with the S button. And then I'm going to move it down as this is now our floor. And just to keep myself straight, because I'm going to be creating a bunch of things, I'm going to call this floor. So with my approach, you actually make the screen, then you're going to build the TV around it to make sure that the dimensions and everything are correct for the video you're making. Or you can make a TV and then scale it appropriately. It's up to you. But so that we have this floor now, we're going to go ahead and create this as, we're going to go to the material here. We're going to create a new material, and we're going to call this material floor mat. And we're going to make that just a... I'm debating on what we should do, glossy or... No, we'll just do a diffuse. And we're going to make this floor this color blue. Sounds good. Roughness, we're going to go ahead and just leave it there. And now we're going to go ahead and render it and see if we're getting floor light catching on the floor. So as you can see, we definitely have light on the floor. Now, one thing that's kind of odd is we have that black line right about here. And we have more light coming from the backside. You may wonder why that is. Well, the issue is, if we free fly the camera and we go around the object like that, and we now render this frame, you can see that the image is lighting on both sides, which could be cool if you want that effect, but we don't. So what we're going to do now is we're going to scroll in here. I'm going to move this mouse around, and I'm going to select our screen, which is this one right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Shift D to duplicate the object, and then click the mouse to leave the object where it is exactly. I'm going to then zoom in real close, and I'm going to take this object and move it slightly behind the other object. And I'm going to scale it up a little bit, just a little bit, so it's definitely covering the edges of the screen. I'm then going to go and rename this one to backplane. And then the backplane, we're going to hit a copy. We're going to make it a new material. We're going to call this backplane mat. And we're going to change it from emission. We're going to change it to a diffuse. We're going to remove the image texture. Actually, let me see. We need to remove the image texture. And again, we got to make sure we're on the back plane here. And we're going to set the color for that for black. We're going to make it extremely rough. And then we're going to hit render on this frame. So what you can see now is it's acting correct. We're looking at the back of the screen, but the light is going out away from the TV on the other side, which is why we have this blue light being cast here. So then we're going to go around to this side. We're going to go back to the front, and that was, again, Shift F lets you fly the camera around. And then we click the mouse to set the camera there. We're going to hit F12 or we're rendering again. Now you're seeing that we're getting light coming towards us from the screen, but there's no light being cast behind the object. So that's a very good example of what we want to have happen there. So the next thing now is we're going to create a couple of little different objects with a couple of different textures to verify how the light is coming across. So let's do Shift. Well, first I want to make sure the floor is not visible to the camera. So we're going to uncheck that just so it's hiding it from us. And then I actually would have wanted the screen to be on this side, but that's fine. So I'm going to do Shift A, and I'm going to let's create a cube. And we're going to have that cube. Oh, my screen. Where's my screen at? My screen's right here on that green line. Okay, so this is my cube. We're going to move it to that side. And for this cube, we're going to give it a color of, we're going to have it diffuse. We're going to do a color here of like, let's do green. And let's give it a little bit of roughness. Just a little bit. And then what we're going to do also is I'm going to fly the camera out a little bit away so we can see the floor better. And then let's create another object. I don't want to just do a whole bunch of renders for no purpose. So we have a green object there that doesn't emit light. It's just a diffuser. And then we're going to create another cube, and we're going to put that one a little bit on the floor like that. Now this one's going to be fun. We're going to create this one as a super metallic. So we're going to set it to glossy, but we're going to set it to 0 roughness with white. So as you can see, it's almost like a pinball, that it's so reflective. But these flat surfaces, it's going to kind of act like a mirror. We're going to put that over there a little bit so we can get some weird interactions. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sphere. We're going to create a mesh, and we're going to create a UV sphere, and we're going to throw that up here. Now this one's going to be a little bit more fun. The issue that it took me a while to figure out when I was first creating this is I was trying to do a refraction, so it'd be like a crystal ball sort of look. But the problem is I left these little ridges here, so it distorted really bad when I was trying to figure out how to do this. So one thing I forgot to do that I later remembered was you have to hit smooth here. So it smooths it out so it's much more like a normal ball. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to its texture, and we're going to set this as a refraction. The light inside it will bounce. Now, if you don't have the BSDF shaders, you can research those, download those online. They're pretty cool. So now we have this object that's flat. We have this one that's reflective, and we have this sphere up here. We're going to do one more cube. And again, this is just to give you examples of how the light is interacting with these objects. And actually, I think I'll do one other kind. Let me move that up higher off the floor. Because remember, the floor is where this green line is, basically. We're going to move this one over here. Now, this one, we're going to give a material that is also glossy, but it's going to be a little bit rougher. So we're going to give it a little bit of a roughness. Let's do 0.15. That looks good. And we're going to render this and see how it looks. You can see it's definitely working a little bit harder this time to render, but still certainly quick. So the thing is right here you can see the green surface is catching some light from the screen. This one is a semi-gloss, and it's definitely reflecting some of the content here. Now the part that I'm missing is, where's that bottom cube at? This bottom cube did not catch any. Now it may have been because it wasn't at the light it wasn't at a position that would have really reflected the content. So let me move it in here and let's re-render that and see what happens this time. Okay, you can definitely see the cube here is picking up. It's now picking up that content. So we're going to move it away from the camera a little bit. And you can also see the shapes of the cube showing up a little bit from this light. So let's move this cube out a little bit. Say about there. And we're going to hit render again. So yeah, you can see this is like a mirror-like finish here. And then this is a little bit more fuzzy, but you can see some of the patterns coming through. Well, one thing we're going to do is we're going to take this cube and we're going to lower its roughness down to 0.1. Let's try that and see if that gives us a better look. Yeah, so you can see a little bit more detail here. And you can definitely see that this refraction is occurring correctly in here. So, one other thing I'm going to show is let's go ahead and turn on that lamp that was set here. And let's see what that does to our scene. So you now see the shadows being cast by that lamp. And again, when the light isn't emitting the TV, that lamp would actually be affecting the screen, which is what we don't want. But in this case, it's throwing the shadows correctly on the ground here from this object. We see that the green light from the lamp is overpowering the light being reflected. This is still being reflected because it's like a mirror. We're also catching cool bounce light, shadow light from here. And then this glossy look is creating a reflection that's looking kind of weird on the floor, but we're also at a low sample rate. So you can see this is all kind of cool here. Now, the one other thing we're going to do to verify that the light's coming out the way we expect is we're going to go to the world, and we're going to go to volume, and we're going to set this to a volume scatter. This is an easy way to create some fog. We're going to test it with this setting right here. We're going to go ahead and render it like this. Now, the issue that's occurring right now is that the fog is so dense that the light can't make it through it, which is why everything's looking black. So we're going to put this down to 0.01 on this. Nope, that should still be 1. Sorry, on the scatter. The density, we're going to do 0.1, and we're going to re-render and try that. So as you can see, there's definitely some fog now. That's playing with that light. And that one white spot that you're getting is from the light that's actually in view of the camera. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually shut that lamp back off. And we're going to re-render again. Now, while this is good as it's creating that, kind of smoky look, I'm testing to make sure that the light beams are what I want them to be. And to do that correctly, I need a lot more fog. So I'm going to put this back to 1. And as you remember, it was all black when I tried to do that last time. Well, now I'm going to grossly go back to the nodes, and I'm going to select the movie. And I'm going to take the strength of that emitter, and I'm going to bump it way up high and see what happens. And it is still not too strong. So let's try to bump this density down to 0.5 and see what happens. So the fog is still way too thick to make it through. So let's try... down here for this, let's try 0.25. Alright, so there you go. You can see, and again, this doesn't look that great. I'm in a sampling mode, but this does give us the information that we were looking for. And the reason why is you can see the color of the light coming through the fog and making it through the fog is changing based off the image that's being displayed. You can see the color changes through the progression of this. So definitely play with the settings, but that is how you can actually make a screen that's truly emitting light. This would be good for things like I said, if you wanted to have a view from the backside of a television, of kids watching the television, you need the light to be coming from the television. And if you wanted to say pan the camera around, to show the scene that the kids are watching, and the whole while having the light come out correctly, this would be a good way to do it. Another way, before I figured out this solution, another way I was considering doing it was just having the screen and then putting a hidden light emitter and guesstimating what the colors should be. One, that would have been a little more work to figure out, and 2, it wouldn't have been the true way the light would come out. It wouldn't uniformly come out pink. Just because most of the screen's pink, you would still have some hot spots of various colors based on the image being displayed. So I'm definitely happy with this approach. Give me a comment. Let me know what you guys think. And again, this is an arcade channel. If you're into home arcades and building your own stuff, definitely check out the rest of my channel. Check out the rest of the videos and stuff below. And subscribe, like, and like I said, comment below. And to my arcade buddies out there, I will be having another arcade video coming out. Again, this work where I discovered this issue is to benefit the channel and making new graphics for the channel. But I again discovered something that I couldn't find online, so I felt the compulsion to make a video to explain and help others. So we'll see you guys next time with another arcade video, and thanks again for watching. Thanks again for watching. If you haven't already, please click like on this video and subscribe to my channel for future updates. If you'd like to see more content, please check out the following locations. I primarily use YouTube to store the final versions of my how-to videos. Facebook is used for communication, including notices about upcoming videos, behind-the-scenes photos, and occasional live streams assisting users with their own systems. I also stream on Twitch while recording these videos so you can see behind the scenes, machine setup, and of course the occasional bloopers. Check out these channels and let me know what you guys think. And as always, thanks again for watching.